It's January 26, 6 o'clock, and I'd like to call the meeting to order. We'll begin this evening with a short prayer led by Mrs. Rosario.
Father God, we bring to you this moment, this time, and we ask you that you would bless us in the work that we do as a board, bless our community. Lord God, we ask that you would bless the children in this community, keep everybody safe. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
It's with a heavy heart
This afternoon.
that I share with the board members, staff, and audience the loss of one of our own. Mrs. Sherry McGarry, media assistant at Oslo Middle School, passed away this past weekend. She joined the school district of Indian River County on October 25th, 2017. At this time, I would ask that we have a moment of silence to remember her and her family. Thank you. The Pledge of Allegiance this evening will be led by Sebastian River High School's Navy Junior ROTC under the direction of Lieutenant Commander James Landis, U.S. Navy retired, and Master Sergeant Michael Hussey, U.S. Marine Corps retired. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Order. Colors. Ready. Cut. Post. Colors. March. Post. Colors. And salute. Ready. Two. Post. March. Right. Face. Forward. March. Up. 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 Right. Up. 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 Right. Up. 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 Right. Up. Up. We now move on the agenda to adoption of orders of the day. Are there any items board members or others wish to move from consent to action?
Just as a reminder, as discussed today, item 6A, which is the agreement with Palms Garden Assisted Living Facilities, that we will withdraw that item.
Right, I need a,
Quick question, item 7D. I know we're going to discuss here, are we going to discuss that after consent, or do we want to move it for discussion to action?
With the will of the board, my understanding is we would add a presentation which would provide us the opportunity to review Mr. Graves' address to the board earlier today during workshop. I'll set that item up regarding why it's being presented, what the item is, and that gives us the opportunity to respond to it within the presentations.
so I need a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion.
Second,
I second.
signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. I would also like to add to the action items, there may be some confusion as to if you're going to submit an email under citizens' input, exactly what the process or procedure will be. So I would like to add that to the action items later on in the meeting, and we can clear up or clarify any misunderstanding and have a vote taken going forward. Can I have a motion to add that to action items?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All right. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Next is citizen input. The public may offer comments by appearing in person. Such persons will be placed in the meeting room, subject to space availability.
Wait a minute.
Mr. Barefoot,
We have-
I think you're going
Presentation.
out of order.
Presentations.
Shining Star Wars first.
Okay. Shining Star Awards,
Uh,
next.
Excuse me, if we could, it's actually the series of presentations. There are several presentations tonight?
Right, but the Shining Star one is first.
Yeah, I know, but
That's not on
Fine.
my,
there's going to be the rest of them.
it's not on my stuff, so. All right,
Presentations.
sorry.
No, Absolutely. Our first presentation, which typically is our Shining Star Award, where we typically honor a school employees. So I'm taking a little bit of liberty because timing is key. And tonight, not necessarily, or truly is a shining star, but this is a certificate of appreciation signed by the board chair and myself. And this is the opportunity for us to acknowledge the accomplishments and the contributions of an individual in our community who has given significantly. This individual, born and educated here in the school district of Indian River County, Dodgertown Elementary, Gifford Middle School, and graduated right here from Vero Beach High School. She was, and I am speaking of Ms. Marshawn Green, who just entered the room, has served as our equity chair for the first 2 years, so November 18th through the year August 2020. And let me just set up that this is just not volunteering, this is guiding, this is facilitating, this is a commitment to ensure we as a system are problem solving around our work in equity, ensuring that all students, regardless as to where they reside or the community that they live in, are afforded the opportunity to engage in a school system that empowers them to achieve or maximize their full potential. Ms. Green has done that work in a valiant way. She has facilitated difficult and complex conversations over the course of 2 years. Ms. Green's work is sought after, and the city of Orlando has captured her interest, and she has taken on a position in which she will serve as the equity officer for the city of Orlando. If I'm not saying that correctly, please make sure that I am. So we are super proud of her accomplishments and the work that she is going to do in Orlando, but me personally, on behalf of the district and system, wanted to take the time to acknowledge Ms. Marshawn Green for her work and her contribution in forging a new path and being the first chair of our equity committee in its first 2 years of existence. So before we present this, I'll open it up for any board members who may wish to provide comment.
Dr. Moore? Just a very special thank you to Marshawn. I met the Green family when her brother Mickey was a student at Gifford Middle and got to know that family very well. Your professionalism, your action, your listening skills were excellent to begin with us in this very, very important endeavor of our African American Achievement Plan and following the DSAG order and many other things. So I want to thank you personally for what you did for this district.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mrs. Berenborg?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Green, for everything you've done, for giving to your own community, and I know now you're going to go and do much more bolder things and to a bigger community, which don't forget us, and don't forget to come back and help mentor the person that's going to replace you. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Mrs. Rosario?
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I know this is going to be a wonderful opportunity for you. And as we continue to receive emails from you, I'm sure that you're not going to be too far away from, your grasp here in Indian River, but congratulations to you.
Thank you.
And finally, so much I could say at this moment. We have journeyed this path together closely for the last 3 years. I know you still have me on speed text. I still have you on speed text. But I want to tell you how much you have inspired me and you have moved me by your passion for this community, your commitment to this community, and not simply because you speak it, but you walk it. And I have an expression that I'm sure is not unique to me, but don't watch the mouth, watch the feet. And I watch your feet, and your feet walk your talk. You stand up for what you believe. You hold us accountable. You make us better at what we do. And I thank you not just for your work, but I so deeply and profoundly thank you for your friendship. It has carried me through a lot of tough moments, as you know, and I am so grateful for you, for your work, for your presence in this community, but most of all and most deeply for your friendship. Thank you for being here tonight. Don't forget us. We'll be in touch. And I love you.
Have you back.
Well, let me offer my congratulations as well. And while we don't know each other that well, the thing I'm going to miss most is wondering what kind of a hairdo you're going to show up with at the next meeting. At any rate, congratulations.
I try to keep it interesting.
So I can say to Marshawn, coming in the first year, and the first year of a superintendency is extremely complex. And one of my goals was to be true to who I am and address equity. And as I said many times publicly, the fact that we're under a joint order was something that I relished in terms of having the opportunity to take it on. And my not my first time in the paper, but my second time in the paper was a big picture of me and Marshawn Green when I was actually introducing myself to her. And the caption read that we were arguing or we were in conflict about something, and it's literally me saying, "Nice to meet you." That reporter's no longer here. And we're all thankful for that. But having the opportunity to be committed to equity, it isn't easy. It's complex. And just to give a little context, Marshawn served in a role as facilitator between the school system, the NAACP, and a federal court order. And that is ensuring that we're understanding, we're receiving, we are working together. And navigating those conversations is extremely complex. Work's not done, and Marshawn will probably speak to that. But the foundation has been created, and we continue to build momentum for the next several years as we move forward and continue to do this work. So as you begin to take on challenges in a big city, I couldn't wait to get out of a big city, and you're going into one, so let's see how that works out. But so proud of you for what you've accomplished here, the contributions you have provided, and the work ultimately that you will do. So I'll allow you the opportunity with the indulgence of the board to speak, and then we'll give you a presentation.
I just want to just thank you all for the opportunity to serve in this capacity. Initially, when we came in, it was a lot of frustration, just really trying to develop the infrastructure for the Equity Committee. What does this committee look like? What are we asking for? What are the expectations? And we worked together, which came to be interesting because I realized, but I did not realize that I was going to be the point person for everyone's problems. And then they would watch the meetings to make sure that I communicated their problems, concerns, and what they said. And if they did not, and if I did not communicate it, then they would catch me at the grocery store, at the gas station, wherever, to say, hey, I watched the meeting and you didn't say what I told you, or you let them off easy, So it was very interesting in this role. I did learn a lot, and in this role in Orlando, I think that what I learned, I can also contribute here. So I'm not going, I would say I'm not going anywhere, but I won't be in your face like before. And I was surprised to be honored tonight because I have given Dr. Moore hell my entire tenure, his day one here. And he has taken it like a champ and still communicated with me. I have ran Mara off from time to time. She takes her breather, and then she comes back when she's ready to communicate with me again. And Sparenborg has handled it a lot better. She's just like, okay, what are the facts? I'll get back with you. I get to harass Mara a little more because she responds in a way that really just draws me to continue talking to her. So. But I just want to thank you all. And I did not watch the workshop, but I received the call saying that the chairperson, I guess that position was extended, and I guess there was a miscommunication because I communicated with Mr. Barefoot both about chairperson and the district position. There were 5 people that reached out to me on Facebook about the district position, saying that they did not know that it was open and they wanted to apply and had not applied, and that's what I reached out to Mr. Barefoot about extending the district, because there's 5 that was asking where. So if you all could communicate where they can apply, then I will communicate that as well. But thank you all for just for the opportunity. Thank you for taking equity serious in our district and committing to have more conversations with the NAACP, with the community about this issue, because it is very important to us all. It affects our households. And as the district progresses, so will our students and our community. And I'm just grateful that you all are making it important. So I thank you for that.
Thank you. With that, I'll present you with this plaque, and then we can take a picture. Come on.
Do I need my mask?
Oh, I know.
That's all I had in the car. They won't let me wear Florida State, so. Yeah. Listen, the mayor's a gator, so,
Oh.
yeah.
Gotta think about the chair.
I'm the Seminole, then can I make that rule? For our second presentation, I will turn the microphone over to our Public Information Officer, Ms. Kristen Maddox.
Hello, good evening, everyone. We have a very special night tonight for multiple reasons. Obviously, to say farewell to Ms. Green and to recognize our law enforcement officers. Not only our SROs, but all the officers that support our schools were invited. If they support our students or schools in any way, we ask them to please attend tonight. So we are very happy to have several of them with us tonight. And we have a plaque for them in appreciation of their service to our district and to our students. And we also have a bag that was put together by someone who shall remain anonymous, and a very special pin. It's a safety hero pin, because we know that on our campuses, you are our safety heroes, but not only that, but you're friends to our students, your mentors, your positive examples to everyone. So thank you so much for the way that you serve not only our students, but just everyone in our district. So can we give them a round of applause, please? And this month is actually Law Enforcement Appreciation Month. So we just really wanted to highlight tonight all of our officers. So we have, first of all, Sergeant Bailey oversees North County Schools, our school resource officers and deputies. If you'd come up here, please. Okay, Sergeant Bailey, and if you would stand up here with me, if you don't mind, while I recognize the officers that you oversee here. From Beachland Elementary School, Detective Charles McFarland. And if they are not here tonight, we wanted to make sure that we just included everyone, so we will get their items to them. Oh, we're hiding out in the multipurpose room. There you go, there he is. Okay. From Dodgertown Elementary, Deputy Andrew Dean. And you know what? If you guys would like to just sort of start lining up back there, that would probably be best so we can get a good picture at the end. From Fellsmere Elementary, Deputy Ian McKay. From Gifford Middle School, Deputy Carlos Negron. From Fellsmere, I already said that one. From Liberty Magnet School, Deputy Liddell Young. North County Charter School, Deputy Greg Stanley. Pelican Island Elementary School, Officer Al Rosemond. St. Peter's Academy, Deputy Teddy Floyd. Sebastian Charter Junior High, Officer Eric Rapp. Sebastian Elementary School, Officer Sean Daly. There you go, right there, thank you.
Thank you.
Sebastian River High School, Deputy Carrie Crawford. And Deputy R.T. Williams. And Deputy R.T. Williams, are you here tonight? Sebastian River Middle School, Deputy Anthony, is it Maraca? I'm a music major, I want to say Maraca. Is it Maraca? Yes, Maraca, Deputy Anthony Maraca. Storm Grove Middle School, Deputy David Ragley. Treasure Coast Technical College, Deputy Anthony Beecham. Treasure Coast Elementary School, Deputy Eric Carlson. And Wabasso School, Deputy Scott Burke. Okay, and Sergeant Partee can't make it here tonight to be with us, but he oversees our student resource officers and deputies at our South County schools. So for the Alternative Center for Education, we have Deputy Mark Howder. Citrus Elementary School, Deputy Palvo Manus. Glendale Elementary School, Deputy Sean Negron. Imagine Charter School, Deputy David Parton. I promised my kids I'd give him a shout out because he's their favorite person on the planet, Deputy Parton. Thank you, Deputy David May. Indian River Charter High School, Deputy Pat Newman. Osceola Magnet School, Deputy Robert Bonvie. Oslo Middle School, Deputy Roderick Smith. Rosewood Magnet School, Officer Randall Slattery. St. Edward's School, Deputy Todd Cleveland. St. Helens Catholic School, Officer Hector Hurtado. Vero Beach Elementary School, Deputy Mark Bertel. Vero Beach High School Freshman Learning Center, Deputy Shannon Dean. Vero Beach High School Main Campus, Deputy Tiffany McMillan. Deputy Mike Snowhill. And we have a substitute, Deputy Andrew Sebris. Lieutenant Anthony Savita. And Captain Tony Consalo. One moment while we catch up on our plaques. Do we have, I know we have Police Chief Curry here tonight. Thank you so much for being here. From Vero Beach Police Department. We have Chief Acosta. No, I know. Is he back there? No, he's not here tonight. Well, we wish you well. Do we have Chief Touchberry here tonight? No? Okay, Sheriff Flowers. Well, let's give Chief Curry a big round of applause then. And I have to ask, is there anyone that was not on my list who is here tonight? We have a safety hero pin just for you, I promise, Chief Curry. Okay, so let's get a nice group picture. Would all of our law enforcement officers please make their way to the front to stand for a picture?
Should we stand in the front or with them in the back?
Excellent. And who did I not acknowledge back here in uniform, gentlemen? Chief Curry, would you introduce the people from your department who are with you?
Lieutenant John Patterson, he oversees our school resource officer.
Awesome.
Excellent, thank you. And sir?
Lieutenant Lopez, and this is my Sergeant Coffin, who oversees that.
Excellent, thank you for being here tonight. And a special thank you to the officers who were involved in our Stars of the Year Gala last night. We had a huge parade entrance. They were there providing security for everyone. Just thank you for being there and being so supportive of my crazy ideas to have that big parade, but we really appreciate it. So next, we have our final presentation. It's our Casual for a Cause presentation. Dr. Moore, if you would come up to the podium, please. Our Casual Cause for a Cause organization in December was the Salvation Army. Do we have Elaine and Captain? Would you please come to the podium? They have a special trophy to present to one of our schools, but we have a special check to present to them because in the month of December, our students, teachers, and staff members, we raised $2,832.14 through our Casual for a Cause initiative. And here's the giant check. I guess I'm behind you. That's weird. I believe they have a special trophy to present to the school who raised the most money through the virtual kettle campaign. The Red Kettle campaign. All right, there you go.
Thank you. My name is Captain Ryan Mayo, and my wife and I were just transferred here right kind of mid-year in June to be the new Corps officers for Indian River County. So we direct the spiritual and social work of the Salvation Army for this area, and it's an honor to be here with you tonight. And so since a pandemic just kind of changed the world that we live in earlier this in 2020, our team at the Salvation Army of volunteers and staff and donors just pivoted to meet the changing needs of the community. And they have served thousands and thousands of families here in Indian River County through our social services and our programs for youth and folks who are experiencing homelessness. So, and our services have increased over this past year, as you'd probably imagine, by an order of magnitude. I mean, across the board, from grocery boxes in our food pantry to financial assistance in the form of rent and utilities, and even through our youth programs, we've seen growth there as well. And many of the families who are served were your students and their families. So we thank you for partnering with us in such a year as this has been to serve those folks. So this year's winner of the Red Kettle Award goes to Beachland Elementary, who, and y'all have been such a joy to work with. Like, your enthusiasm just oozes out, and it's so obvious why you guys won. They raised over $1,200 in the Red Kettle. So we were trying to think how we can best honor you guys, and we thought a nice shiny trophy for your trophy case you could display with pride to your students and remind them of what you've accomplished together. So congratulations from Beachland to Beachland. Our runners-up were actually the Sebastian River High School, who raised over $500 in their virtual kettle. I don't know if you know you could do that, but they have virtual red kettles, and that's how they raised theirs this year. Our clubs, between the wrestling clubs and the Honor Society and all of them, they raised over $1,200 altogether. So our grand total for the school district of Indian River County, you guys helped us raise over $5,300 to continue, in addition to Dress for a Cause. So thank you for that. The schools and leaders of the school district of Indian River County have once again demonstrated their commitment not only to the academic success of the young people you serve, but also the development of their character. And helping them become all that they've been created to be, and for encouraging the young people in this community to see the last, lost, and least of our community as being made in the very image of God, and encouraging them to think that way. So we thank you so much for your partnership, and God bless you. Yeah.
Beachland and
forget your big check.
If that will work for you tonight, we can go into whatever's easiest. Are they split by who, which thing?
As established during the consent agenda, we do have one additional presentation. You will find on the consent agenda a donation that is being made by the Graves family. This is a donation to accept the land across from Vero Beach Senior High School. This was land that the Graves family made a commitment to buy in honor of their son who lost his life 3 years ago. There was a presentation made by Joe Graves today that captures the spirit, the generosity, and the overall purpose of what we can do when we come together and collaborate to create a space for our community, a facility for our community, to provide a revolutionary, not a transformational track and facility, field for our students, a walking path, green space for our community. This is the opportunity of partnership. During that presentation, Dr. Schiff had the idea, which is endorsed by all, to highlight Mr. Graves' remarks to the board that took place earlier today. And there is a picture of us on the screen now with the Graves family. So at this time, I'll ask staff to play that video.
Good afternoon. On December 4th, 2016, our family suffered an unimaginable tragedy. Our sweet and beautiful son, Jimmy, was taken from us. Jimmy was everything you could ask for in a son. He was loving, energetic, bright, and a student, and extremely gifted in athletics. He had an empathy about him that caused him to care for others. He had a heart for the less fortunate, the less popular, and kids that needed some help, whether it be in the classroom, the athletic field, or just needed a friend. We have heard countless stories about his kindness, his witness, and his heart for the underrepresented. Jimmy loved soccer, football, and track. In soccer, he played on a travel team out of Tampa, and when that coach left to become the director of soccer for Mississippi, he selected Jimmy to play on his Olympic development team in Mississippi. In football, Jimmy was selected to the USA Under-15 football team 2 years in a row and had the honor and privilege of playing in the AT&T Stadium in Dallas on 2 occasions. He played freshman football at Vero Beach High School and was brought up to the varsity team in the playoffs. And Vero Beach High School retired his number 11, 2 seasons ago. In track, Jimmy ran with the youth team in Gifford and ran some of the best times in the state in the 100-meter and 400-meter races, and he planned on running track at Vero Beach High School. In running track with the youth team, Jimmy was concerned about the facilities available to him and his teammates. Oftentimes, the kids would literally run in the dirt at Gifford Park. Once in a while, they would get on the track at the Vero Beach High School to train. Later, we all learned that Vero Beach High School did not have a regulation track. Countless kids have either graduated or did not participate simply due to the school not having a regulation track. The issue became important to Jimmy as well as our family, and if he were here, he would surely say, "Dad, let's try and help." When Jimmy passed, our family was devastated, and we wanted to do something significant for this community that helped raise our son and took us into their arms at our time of grief. We inquired about purchasing the 16th Street ball fields, which the county had announced they intended to sell. The county graciously sold us the land. Our intent was to build a public-private partnership for a community track that would be accessible not only to the Vero Beach High School students, but the community as well. In the time that we have owned the land, we have invested additional sums of money to clean up the land, remove dilapidated field houses and fences and antiquated lights. We've also installed 5 acres of sod that hosted countless youth sports, including a flag football league this past fall. We have literally served thousands of kids. However, it became apparent that we could not continue this venture alone. In spring last year, we were approached by a developer to buy the land. A representative from the Jimmy Graves Foundation reached out to many organizations and nonprofits in our community, but there were no viable partners. After about 60 days after receiving the contract, we signed it. After we signed it, I was introduced to Brian Barefoot, with whom I was not previously acquainted. And I remember sitting on a sidewalk in North Carolina while on vacation and talking to him about his vision for the fields. He had ideas that were very exciting, and he planted a seed in my mind that day. Weeks later, I asked the developer to allow us to cancel the contract based on that conversation so they could give us another try. And then the election happened. Brian Barefoot, as well as Dr. Jones, have taken seats on this board, and the comments that were made by Ms. Berenberg and the other members of the school district, we listened to those and we heard them, and we heard your discussion while you were making them, and we are greatly appreciative. Originally, when I met with Dr. Moore and Mr. Barefoot, I wanted to sell this property and recoup our investment. I thought there was no way our dream for these fields would ever come true. After speaking with Mr. Barefoot and Dr. Moore, I learned of their vision of a community track. I became excited. The stars aligned. This is what we've been fighting for 4 years. I went home after our last meeting at the fields and I prayed about what we should do. After much thought and reflection, Carol and I were led not to sell the property, but to gift it to the school district. We do not want to be mere bystanders, but we want to be involved in making this happen in our community. My wife taught in public schools almost 20 years, some at Sebastian with Dr. Jones. And since we purchased the property, God has blessed our family with 3 more children who are here today. Our older girls are married and live out of town and couldn't be here. Emily, our oldest, is in Atlanta teaching violin and going back to school to be an engineer, and is a proud graduate of Vero Beach High School. Sarah, our middle daughter, is a teacher in her first year and is literally in the classroom right now in Alachua County. What a year to start. Sophia is here. She's a student at Charter High School. And Rachel and Stephen are students at Gifford Middle School. And we are so blessed to have them. Our entire family stands here today, honored and blessed to be a part of this. We appreciate the Indian River County Commissioners for giving us this opportunity. I appreciate their willingness to work with us during this time. When I purchased the land, I made a promise to them to safeguard this land for the community. Today, I fulfill the promise to do the right thing by giving this land to the Indian River County School District. I want to thank the members of the school board, Dr. Moore and Mr. Barefoot, and I want to thank God for blessing our family and giving us the opportunity to make this gift. I am grateful for the community and the strong leadership that we have on this school board. You are all truly making a difference, and I appreciate your willingness to serve our children. Thank you very much.
So I don't know if it could be said any better in which it was just said, but this is an opportunity for us really to work together, to collaborate, and provide a amazing space for our students. So with that, those are the presentations for this evening.
All right. We just move on. So the next agenda item is citizen input. I appreciate my coach here. Being a rookie at this, I get a little bit off schedule a little bit. At any rate, the public may offer public comments by appearing in person. Such persons will be placed in the meeting room, subject to space availability. Additional attendees will be placed in areas outside the meeting room and invited into the meeting room at the appropriate time. Alternatively, the public may offer public comments by emailing the school district prior to 12 p.m. on the day of a meeting. The guidelines regarding the amount of time an individual has to address the board. Each statement made by a member of the public shall be limited to 3 minutes duration. Persons will be recognized in the order in which the requests were received. Persons may speak for up to 3 minutes at the beginning of a business meeting during citizens' input as indicated on the order of business, and for up to 3 minutes to each action agenda item during the action agenda and each board member discussion item as indicated on the order of business. Persons may only speak once about any given item. The time period may be extended by the presiding officer, and only the individual submitting a speaker's form is allowed to address the board. Time may not be yielded to other speakers. We have several speakers who want to address the board tonight, and we also have 7 emails which will be read when we finish with the public. The first speaker this evening is Mr. Todd Holden.
Good evening. My name is Todd Holden. I'm a 7th grade civics teacher at Oslo Middle School. I stand before you today heartbroken. We have lost one of the hearts and souls that have made Oslo the school that it is. Sherry McGarry was the human embodiment of Best by Kids. Always kind and generous, willing to do whatever needed to be done for what she called my kids. It's going to be some time before Oslo gets back to whatever passes as normal in today's environment. My dear colleague's death brings us face to face with a harsh reality. There is no doubt that the virus is running through our schools, and that Mrs. McGarry contracted the virus at Oslo. In the last 2 weeks, we have had 7 teachers diagnosed with COVID, many having significant, if not severe, symptoms. And as I've already mentioned, 1 death. I come face to face with over 300 students every single day at Oslo. I spend classroom time with almost 150 students over a 2-day period of time. Of course the virus is running through the school. To deny that or suggest otherwise is to live in a place other than reality. The only thing that has kept at least a portion of your workforce intact is the persistent insistence of mask wearing. If I were paid by the number of times I told a child to pull up their mask or to put it on, you would not be able to afford my salary. To imagine Mrs. McGarry will be the last school employee to die of this virus contracted at school is also a fantasy. The bottom line is that we, the people who love your children, are dying in order to teach them, and we are in crisis. What can you do as a board? I'm glad you asked. In an article today, the Press Journal said it was going to take at least 6 months to work through every person 65 years and older here on the Treasure Coast. In that period of time, I wonder how many more of us who are on the front lines are going to die. The United States military and the federal government have recognized teachers as frontline workers who should be moved to the front of the vaccination line. The VA has already started giving shots to veteran teachers. I implore you as a board to reach out to whoever it is that you can reach out to, the Florida Department of Education, the Florida Department of Health, the governor, the Federal Department of Education, the Federal Department of Health, even the president himself, if necessary, to move heaven and earth to have the state of Florida make the same decision as the U.S. military and declare us frontline workers and get us the vaccine as soon as possible. Unless we do something of this sort, this will not be the last time that our hearts are broken over a school employee who has contracted this awful virus at school. There's no telling which of us will be next, as it is clearly running through Oslo and our district. Most of us are willing to give what President Lincoln called the last full measure of devotion for these children, but we should not have to.
Thank you. Second speaker this evening, Lamar Notargiacomo.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you tonight. I knew Sherry McGarry, and she will be sorely missed. I feel very bad for her son. She's got a teenage son. I don't know exactly how old he is. I used to work with her at Publix, and she was just a great and kind, generous, and giving person. And so I too grieve the loss of Sherry McGarry and for her family. However, I also want to, no matter what I say is going to sound insensitive tonight because of this recent death, and nobody here is in denial that COVID is real. I had it, my husband had it, my son had it, my brother had it. It is real. COVID is a real thing. However, I will point out that 5 children, again, I said this last time, 5 children in the state of Florida. It's on the Florida Department of Health website. Anybody can look it up. 5 children under the age of 14 have died from COVID. And anyone can look that up. The survival rate from COVID-19 for ages 0 to 19 is 99.997%. From 20 to 49 is 99.98%. 50 to 69 is 99.5%. And 70 and up is 94.6%. That is on the CDC website, CDC survival rate from COVID-19. So that's all I have to say, is that there's no logical or scientific reason for our children to be masked all day, every day. And it serves as a constant reminder that it just creates fear in people's minds. And I believe that our children may end up getting PTSD from it, because they're a reminder every single day of COVID when they need to be just allowed to be children. So I would encourage the mask mandate to end. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker, Chris Allen.
Hi, my name is Chris Allen, and I'm an Indian River County resident. I have a chart here from Japan. There was a big news article from the New York Times that said, hey, Japan masked, and it worked. And they ended it here. They didn't seem to want to look past it to where the numbers for cases are still rising up. And this is as of January, that the mask didn't do anything. This is in Ireland, where different mask mandates started being applied. One is in public transport, which, as you could tell by the chart, they started it where it was already at the bottom. Mask indoors, and then in busy or crowded outdoor spaces. Again, they started to do it at the lower part of the graph, and towards the end, it didn't really help much at all either. This is also around January. I have another one from the COVID tracking project, the road to 68,000 COVID cases per million. As you could tell, this is California, Texas, and Florida. They all reach the same numbers towards the end, and this is around January 7th. And one of the reasons California is so low is because, remember, they're still in lockdowns. Like you're not allowed to do pretty much of anything. Well, at least until Biden got inaugurated, then they decided to open up. And so I wanted to, there's a lot of because of the death, you know, I wouldn't wish it on anybody, but I've been hearing a lot of teachers that they want to start getting the kids in trouble for it. And I don't know whether that comes to like detention or just being punished for it in some sort of way, but it's just a mask, and obviously it hasn't helped stop COVID because people are still getting COVID in schools, and it's a virus. It's going to run its course, as you could tell by the charts that I've shown you. Let's see. Fauci himself has said that the virus is starting to plateau, and so hopefully that helps other people realize that it's been almost a year. A virus is going to act like a virus. It has a low, gets to a high, and starts going down again. So, and I know that a news reporter who was in here misquoted me, but one of his things that he wanted to mention to you guys is that, you know, wait till the children are vaccinated. But just so you know, this vaccine is still experimental. It's an mRNA vaccine that hasn't been tested in children. And in fact, that's actually going on now to see how well it works or if they're affected by it. And, you know, even for that, they still caution women who are pregnant. And I've heard that some have even told men to freeze their sperm because they don't know what's going to happen. There's a question of whether it'll make you infertile too.
Thank you. Next speaker, Carolyn Kleinpeter.
Hello, my condolences to the teacher. As a widow myself, I can attest that sometimes the death certificate is not correct. So regarding the mask, I would like to remind the board that the CDC has guidelines, and I would also like to remind the board that the CDC is the same Department of Health that performed the Tuskegee experiments to study the natural history of untreated syphilis in the hopes of justifying a treatment program for blacks, which they are still compensating the families today. So this is another example of the corruption of the CDC and the crimes they have committed against humanity. There is much research opposing the use of masks, and one is bacterial pneumonia, as I mentioned last August when I stood here. And that is rebreathing the bacteria and toxins you exhale as God has designed us to do. We also have lived years with the flu in schools and did not go to the extreme of covering up what God has miraculously designed us to keep us alive. If you recall, last August, I brought up the fact that Elizabeth Smart was abducted and was in public with a mask over her face, yet no one recognized her, even though her face was on national television constantly, and that is a problem. This week, I was invited to listen in on a symposium with guest speaker Kathleen Fernandez-Rundle, State Attorney of Miami-Dade County. Now, last August, I also informed you that Florida ranks number 3 in the nation for human trafficking. A few of you on the panel, and some are gone, laughed. I have some more info to share. A victim of human trafficking has their identity stolen. When they are rescued, they go through education on self-sufficiency, medical services, trauma counseling, life skills, art therapy, and work study. They receive help to excel, to have good lives, and basically they start their education all over again. Where do the kids begin their formal education in the first place? The school. It's a big circle. 61% of kids stolen in Miami-Dade are community kids, and they're recruited through the schools. Currently, the schools are masking up the children with a virus that has a 98% recovery rate, and currently no more flu statistics are being tracked by the CDC, and I wonder why. I ask you, why is the school taking the identity of the kids away? Whether it be God-given gender identity and now covering faces and taking away individualism. This is a social experiment. Numerous gender identities in Florida began in Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach counties in the mid-2000s, as our superintendent is probably well aware. And how do I know? My late husband spoke out at the school board meetings against it, and I saw the curriculum in the school office. I believe your board is allowing mass clinical research on the children of this community under the guidance of the CDC, who I believe is guilty of crimes against humanity. So let's stop this charade and research the research tracking projects that you have going on with our children. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, Rick Allen.
Hello, I'm Rick Allen, and I just want to say that we need to put the choice of masking children back in the hands of the parents. The parents do have the right to decide what's best for their children and when to wear a mask, when not to wear a mask. We've seen a lot of parents come in here whose children are having severe problems, whether it be health-related problems, mental problems, or just academic problems, all as a result of the mask. There's a lot of fear going on right now in schools, and rightfully so. It is something that people need to be afraid of, but not to this extent, not with a 98% survival rate. Please put the control back in the hands of the parents. Let the parents decide what's best for their children in the schools. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, Jennifer Pippin.
Good evening. My name is Jennifer Pippin, and I'm an admin for the We the People of Indian River County and also the chairman for Moms for Liberty here in Indian River County. And I know I said this last time. Most importantly, I'm a mother of 2 children in your school district. My daughter just turned 15, so I've been with the school district for 10 years. And my son turned 12 in November. I know that you guys are not allowed to say anything because of the lawsuit that we have going to court on Friday. Unfortunately, it brought us to that point. And in the news, on social media, everybody says we're a small, loud group. But if you can remember back to October, 750 families, 48% of the school district voted to do the optional masking. So it's not small but loud. It's almost half of your families that wanted it, and it could even be more now. So I resent when I hear that because the numbers don't lie from the survey that you put out in October. You school board members, you work for the people. You have responsibilities to the school district, but those responsibilities do not give you the power to decide when and how parental rights are recognized and respected, not with the virus or whatever could come down the pipes from here on out. And my regards go to the Oslo teacher that lost her life. I myself looked at the Department of Health website because I wanted to do some more investigation on this, and there is no proof with her passing. It was a loss, absolutely, that it came from a child. She could have contracted it from the public. She could have contracted it from family or friends. And nobody in this room wants anybody to pass or be sick. Nobody. Unfortunately, people do pass. And it is very unfortunate. But there is no solid information that said she contracted it from a child and passed the virus in our schools. And everybody's still asking, what is the end game with this? A lawsuit aside, what is the end game? For a vaccine that is not even FDA approved? Is that the end game for our school system? To unmask our children? To let them breathe freely? We're not going to give up. This is not the last time you're going to hear from us. Many people cannot come up and speak because of their profession, or because they're not public speakers, or because they're scared of public ridicule like we constantly get. But let me tell you something. Like I've told you from day one, we're not going away because our children are most important and parental rights will never end, especially with the virus. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, Vivian Bryant.
I was here on December 7th regarding a matter that I had spoken with the board about, and I had also sent an email to Dr. Moore, and you didn't respond, sir, but God bless you anyway. I want to thank two people that did try to intervene by your directive to help me. That's Mrs. Hofer, I don't see her here, and Mr. Seymour. But they've been circumvented from doing so by the powers at Vero Beach High School. And I hope that you'll intervene and speak with them about that issue. The issue is, it's an academic thing that people need to understand. If there's a glitch in your system that has to do with testing of students, then that should be investigated thoroughly so it can hopefully circumvent an additional problem. Courses like geometry, various maths, these students have to pass those classes in order to graduate. If those students who had the same problem as some people that I know took those courses and were not cognizant that this issue existed and were never notified, if they fail, they have to be really worried about graduation or take the class again. I don't think that should be happening. You know, we are talking about adults, and I appreciate every teacher. I appreciate every administrator. But every student is a person too. They have the same stressors in this pandemic as we do. And they have more stresses because sometimes they have to navigate sports, life, life in general, and the academics. And some of these things are not so easy. I didn't have to take chemistry, but I know my grandson and others do. But I want to thank every teacher and administrators that helped them navigate this process. So hopefully, Dr. Moore, you will have further conversations with Mrs. Hofer, because Mr. Eric Seymour is my cousin, and he could not intervene. And I thank them very much for that. I have to say one thing about Mrs. Hofer. Mrs. Hofer was the principal at OMS, a very helpful person, a very fair person, who would engage you and try to help at any juncture. Even if she didn't like me, she never showed it, and she was very fair, but she was supportive of her staff. And therefore, I think that's more important. I do want to say, and I'll shut up in a minute, that I thank all of my grandson's present teachers, Dr. Mora, people like him who go over and beyond the call. He's very efficient in putting grades into focus, so we'll know where they are academically. We have Coach Bethel, that threw me off. Oh, Coach Bethel and other teachers, I can't go any further, and also the teachers at OMS for my granddaughter. I just want to thank you all for taking the time, but communication is key for all of us. And if you will communicate with us and take the time to listen, and the teachers, and give them some training in that equity, not only in the equity, sir, but also interpersonal communications, because if we don't get feedback, the children don't thrive. Thank you.
Absolutely. And I'll ask Mr. Bass to have a conversation so we can make sure we follow up. Thank you.
Next speaker, Don Wilkerson.
Good evening, Dr. Moore, school board members. Thank you so much for having me tonight. My name is Dawn Wilkerson. My friend Lamar tonight pointed out the amazing survival rates with this virus. I was going to talk about that also, and my numbers were exactly the same as hers. One thing I do want to say is that if you do take early treatment, this is a completely survivable virus. I'm so sorry to hear about the teacher and her passing. That saddens my heart greatly. Also, sadly, if you are at the end of your life or if you do have multiple underlying conditions, this virus can take your life. But also, so can the common cold or other viruses or other bacterias or pneumonia. According to Dr. James Linnenweiler, PhD and president of the Institute for Pure and Applied Knowledge, if you're not over 70 years old, you have less of a chance of dying from coronavirus than influenza, thank goodness. Our reaction to this virus, I think, really has been worse than the virus itself, and I think our children are paying for this. This virus essentially does not really affect young people, so I think it's irrelevant to have them in masks for 8 hours a day. I would ask that you please allow for optional masking and for personal health freedoms. I've done hours of researching the effectiveness of masks, and here's the conclusion. Wearing masks will not reduce SARS-CoV-2. Masks may confuse that message and give people a false sense of security. If masks had been the solution in Asia, for example, shouldn't that have stopped the virus before it spread elsewhere? Let's talk a little bit of science. The size of the particles, a friend was telling me about this and I looked it up, in a wildfire is between 0.4 and 0.7 micrometers. The size of a virus is 0.1 micrometers. The CDC says that cloth masks do not catch small harmful particles in smoke. If that's the case, how can a mask catch virus particles which are smaller than smoke particles? It's almost like picking up a handful of sand and throwing it through a chain link fence. It's gonna get through. Particle size really does matter. The British Medical Journal did the first randomized controlled trial of cloth masks and found penetration of mask particles was 97%. That's pretty astronomical. Keeping people in fear for the politicalization of this virus and the promotion of a vaccine, I believe really has been the goal. Did you know that the corona, I'll say vaccine, is in the investigational stage only by the FDA? It's an experimental biological agent that uses mRNA, which has never been used in humans before. And I'm almost done. I ask, please do your research on this vaccine. I'm really worried about the infertility for women, a lot of bad stuff that I've seen in this vaccine. The most responsible thing that we can do for our children, our teachers, our staff, and parents is to allow for optional masking, and please allow for parental choice. Let's pursue what's best for our children's physical, social, and mental health. I'm really worried about their mental health right now. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next speaker, Nicole Campanelli.
Good evening. My name is Nicole Campanelli. So you are the people who are supposed to be looking out and thinking of not only the teachers union, which I know is the top priority, but it would be nice if you looked out for the children in your school's best interests. It's disgusting that my son with his autoimmune disease comes into school after not wearing a muzzle all spring and summer, and the nurse is calling me 3 to 5 times a week because suddenly his blood glucose is spiking super high or it's dropping dangerously low. Well, we now have a medical exemption for this mask because his health is my responsibility, and his blood sugars being a ping pong is unacceptable and it's dangerous to his organs now as well as in the future. But the principal didn't let me have his face free, and he has to wear a shield when my doctor's note clearly states he is medically exempt from wearing a mask or face covering because it will exacerbate his type 1 diabetes, resulting in headaches, labored breathing, and low blood sugars. So why is my child's health not even being considered? I know the people who want masks mandated in this county really want vaccines mandated for everybody because they're under the impression that mine won't work if you don't have yours. And these are the people that act like science is infallible. I don't get it, the whole trust in the science, as if they've forgotten what science actually means, which is lots of tests and hypotheses because it's constantly changing. Therefore, trusting something that's always changes and acting like it's always a solid state is actually quite foolish. There are studies showing no asymptomatic transmission of COVID, but mainstream media won't tell you that, and none of you bother to read your emails. But for you to force behaviors on others while traumatizing an entire generation of children because you're scared of getting sick is absolutely selfish and wrong. And if you want to continue to try and force masks and possibly force vaccines, but you won't acknowledge your unhealthy lifestyles or your overweight frame with decades of pre-existing risk factors, and you won't acknowledge the inaccuracies of the testing or the dangers of this rush vaccine, you won't acknowledge the inaccurate infection rates and death rates, or even just acknowledge the absolute terrible diets and generally nutrient-void foods that the majority of this country is eating, don't Well, quit projecting your fear. Just because you're scared and unhealthy doesn't mean the rest of us should be scared and unhealthy with you. And until the government wants to do something right for once and mandate vitamins, organic food, elderberry syrup, and get rid of all the garbage fast food joints and mandate quitting smoking and alcohol, then I will be taking no advice from them. We do not want this crazy new normal. We want our old normal back. And it's possible because you have the power to change things and move towards making those children your top priority. I'm sick of the conditioning of society to think that because I'm standing up for myself and my children that I'm selfish. No, freedom over my body is my God-given right. Optional masks would be really great for the 48% population of the survey that you seem to don't really care about. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes the public comments. I understand that there are 7, I believe, emails that were received. And as I stated earlier, there seems to be some degree of uncertainty that we, in fact, voted on specific language that needed to accompany an email request to be presented before the school board. We will address that at the action item. So Ms. Maddox or Ms. Milliman, if you could read those 7 emails, we would appreciate it. Thank you.
This is from Robert Shaver. Please get rid of the mask requirements in schools. Leave it up to the parent and the child. Please stop quarantining healthy children. Thank you, Robert Shaver. This is from Kelly Ann. Please unmask our school children and stop quarantining healthy children. Thank you, Kelly B. From Carrie Tankersley. Please unmask our school children and stop quarantining healthy students and staff. Masks should not be made mandatory. If a person wants their child to wear one, then by all means allow them to do so, but to make a blanket standard is irresponsible. Parental rights do not stop simply because a child is attending a public school. Many families do not have the option of homeschool, virtual learning, etc., and are being forced to comply. The numbers in science do not add up and continue to not add up. Please make masks mandatory. From Janice Malesic. To whom it may concern, please unmask our school children. It is unnecessary to step in on behalf of parents and govern our children. Let this decision be made by the parents and their respective health professionals. This should an option made by the parents, not a mandate made by our local school board. Also, please stop quarantining healthy children. The only children that should be quarantined is the ones that are sick from any sickness, not limited to COVID. If anyone feels unsafe with unmasked people around them, they have the option to stay home to feel more safe with virtual learning. Thanks for your consideration. This email is forwarded from Jennifer Pippin from her son, Hunter Pippin. Hi, my name is Hunter. I'm in 6th grade, middle school. My birthday was November 17th. My friends and people in my class and me are done with masks. I can't breathe with my mask good, and I have to repeat myself a lot, and it's hard to understand my teachers. Sounds like humming sometimes. My teachers don't like them either. I have to wear a mask all day, even if I'm by myself to wear a mask. My mom bought cupcakes for my class today for my birthday. My friends were really happy when I told them that I was bringing cupcakes, so they could actually take off their masks and eat in class. That never happens. We get to take them off in the cafeteria, but not in class. I like that I get to chew gum in class. Helps with the mask because my throat hurts sometimes, and it's annoying. I'm really mad we still have to wear masks. I hate it. Sometimes my mom puts this mint stuff on my mask so I can breathe better. It smells like peppermint. Please tell my mom when I don't have to wear a mask anymore, okay? I don't wear a mask anywhere but school. Tell my mom, okay? Thanks, Hunter. This email is forwarded by Jennifer Pippin from her daughter, Summer Jinks. Hi, my name is Summer, and I'm a freshman at the FLC Vero Beach High School. I was quarantined 2 weeks in October, and I had no teachers to teach me when I had to stay home. Last quarter, I had all A's and B's. This semester, I have 3 F's, 1 D, and also 1 C, and in my eyes, those grades are horrible. I cannot catch up. I was just quarantined again the day after Veterans Day, and now I'm even further behind. I email my teachers on Canvas, and sometimes they get back to me, and sometimes they tell me that they will get me the work when I go back to school. How is it that I have to wear a mask all day at school, but I still get quarantined? If masks work, why do my friends and I get sent home? We have no teachers teaching us, and we get behind. We aren't sick. None of us are sick. I emailed at the last board meeting and told you that I was failing, and I got quarantined again. Do you care that I'm failing? I cannot go to work or my activities. Do you care I missed homecoming week and the football games? I thought the adults were supposed to care about the kids. What happened? I had to go to Mr. Hart's office with my parents, and he said he would help me get my work. Thursday, Friday, Monday, nothing. Nothing from my teachers or the school, like I don't even matter. My friends and I may have to do homeschooling, not public school, if this continues. We aren't sick. We were never sick. Sincerely, one of your high school students who is quarantined twice and failing because of the system. I'm not sick. This is from Larissa Paquilin. Every parent have a right to decide for their children what to wear, what to eat, where to study, to have vaccines or not, to wear a mask or not, and etc. To cut children's breath at school by absolutely ignoring parental rights is the worst thing that you can make in your community. This is unconstitutional, and this is against basic human rights. The school district board members who is not value parents and parental rights shouldn't be working for the children and parents. Remember, you were elected to work for our community. Children are not going to school for you. Forcing young kids wearing masks and pretend that this is normal is tyranny. And that's all.
Thank you. Moving on with the agenda for the evening. The next agenda item is approval of the consent agenda. I need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Second from Dr. Jones. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. The next is the pulled consent agenda items. The first one, Dr. Moore pulled agenda item 6A. You're completely withdrawn, all right. I proposed to propose a vote. We had a lengthy, as you all remember, a lengthy discussion at our last meeting about how to handle email public information that came in. And we discussed, but evidently didn't take a vote specifically. So I would like to propose a vote on the following procedures, if you will, for accepting emails during public discussion time. And Mrs. Esplin has a copy of what I'm about to read. All public comment emails must include a completed citizen input form, similar to what people that show up in person present, available. All emails must have the completed citizen input form attached, or the public comment submission will not be considered. All emails containing public comment with a completed speaker's form received by 12 p.m. on the day of the business meeting will be provided to all school board members prior to the meeting and will be appended to the meeting minutes. That is what I would propose that we put in as policy on email presented public input. And I welcome, open it up to any comment, discussion. Dr. Schiff?
Yeah, I have a comment, but are you proposing that, or are you presenting it as a motion?
That's the wording. I'm presenting it as a motion.
So does it have to be presented and seconded before we can discuss?
I'll second.
Okay.
There you go.
Thank you. Just trying to keep up, Terry, so I don't mess with Robert's
I
rules.
totally understand.
I'm not against this, so I don't want this heard as being against this. My concern is only that the way it is on the website, the way we put it for this week, albeit with some confusion, is in a PDF format, which makes it difficult for people to interact on that format. They have to print it out, fill it out, scan it, upload it, all of which is really difficult to do. And I don't want that to be a barrier to people's public comment. My request is that we have it in some form other than PDF or some way that, or something either directly on the website that they can fill out so that it doesn't, because PDFs just don't work that way. And if people don't have the electronic or technological capacity, this is a barrier. So I'd like to figure out how we can address that, but I don't have a problem with that we should have this information and that they should designate exactly what items they want to speak to, which is the purpose of this.
Mrs. Rosario?
Mrs. or Dr. Moore, is it possible to have or ask Mrs. Esplin to create a form the way that we did with the application where it's actually typable, it's editable, is that a word?
Fillable.
Fillable,
Yeah.
there you go.
And that's a absolutely reasonable request that we can fulfill.
Okay.
And that form that can be completed directly can be done right on the website and then submitted with their public comment, or they can in some way take that form and attach it to their email? We have to figure out a way to do that.
The process as is being described, and I'm just summarizing what I'm hearing, it would be a fillable form, saved, attached, and then the content could be within the body of the email or within the form in which they attach. So it's really just a form that you would save. There's no printing, so if you can get on a computer to fill it out, you have the technology or the ability both with a tablet, hand device to be able to submit that information.
And it would look exactly, or it would look like the form for.
Yeah, it would
public
be very similar to a fillable form. It would have the text boxes overlapped, which you can enter the information.
comment.
And there would be a text box for the body of what you want to say, or you have to do a separate email?
You can do that in the, either or is fine. You can do it in the context of the body of the email.
The body of the
Yeah,
form?
our goal and desire is to ensure that staff has the opportunity to vet and approve, so we're following the exact same process that we use during the day. We follow it electronically. Therefore, as we read information, the board has a level of confidence that staff has done its due diligence to ensure this person exists, this person is who they say they are, and we're not reading erroneous emails.
May I ask, would we be able to have on the website the option for someone to choose either to download it as a PDF or create a PDF or the fillable form? This way, people have an option.
I think we can do that. I think the fillable form is what we're going to get 99% of the time, but we can provide the option.
No, I think that's wonderful, but from your phone, for example, if the fillable form, something doesn't show up on a phone or an iPad form, someone will be able to access the other form as an option.
No, I agree.
Okay.
That's a good point.
Dr. Jones, did you have a comment?
Well, just as long as there's no barrier for anybody to do that, just easier it is for people, because we do want to hear from everyone.
Right. Mrs. Barrenborg, fine?
I'm fine with that.
I think I'm looking at a copy that was made this evening that Mr. Holden filled out. And this is a piece of paper. You could create the bottom half of this form, and there you could put your email and just save it for your own records and send it off to Mrs. Esplin. But as everyone said, I think there's probably a fairly easy way to address the issues that you all raised. So there's a motion on the floor. We have a second. Any further comment or discussion?
Mr. Barefoot, I think you'll have to either withdraw your first motion or amend it to include the fillable form or the PDF.
She's correct.
It's the Robert's Rules of Order Patrol.
Yeah.
I withdraw my original motion and amend it to include what I said before, but include,
Hang on, I'm sorry, I'm going to be Robert's Rules Patrol. She's got to withdraw her second.
Yes, she does.
Me? Yeah.
I will.
That was Terry.
I will draw.
Oh, you, okay, got it, sorry.
yeah. So I amend the motion as stated with the addition that it has to be, there will be a fillable out form included on the website that will enable the person sending the email to write their email on that form and then submit it to Mrs. Esplin.
Or
I'm sorry, or PDF.
The posted email on the agenda. So there's a
On the-
different
on the
email that we use, not.
Board docs agenda, not on our website.
But it will be on the website, is where they access it.
Well, they get to board docs through the website, but it's actually on board docs. It's not on the district website. I'm sorry to be picky, I just don't want there to be any confusion.
I don't think there is any confusion, and I accept the suggestion that,
Or PDF.
or PDF.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries 5-0. All right. Where were we?
Approval of appointment of 2 employees.
Right, the next agenda item, or action agenda item, is the approval of appointment of 2 employees to the Equity Committee. Dr. Moore?
This item, as presented and discussed today, there were 2 individuals who submitted the information. Just to summarize the conversation that we had this morning, posted over the course of 11 days using the district collaborator. That is the system that we use to communicate with all employees. The joint order requires these 2 members to be employees. In addition to the collaborator, an email was sent to all employees regarding this particular opportunity. As a result of that all call across the system, using our standard communication method, we had 2 individuals who submitted letters of interest. We discussed each of those individuals this morning. This action item calls for the board to select one of those 2 individuals, as well as take a vote to continue the services of Ms. LaVon Walker, who served in the equity position last year and willing to continue that particular role.
All right. At this time, Ms. LaVon Walker has expressed interest in remaining on the Equity Committee representing the School District of Indian River County for another year. If there are no objections to this, I would like to call for a motion to renew Ms. LaVon Walker for 1 year.
I make a motion?
Second.
Second.
Second?
I make a motion.
Got it.
Dr. Schiff, second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. For the second Equity Committee member representing the School District of Indian River County, we received 2 applications. Prior to voting, there is 1 open seat, and I would like to open the floor to my fellow board members to discuss the applicants.
May I?
Mrs. Barrenborg.
Yes. I believe Dr. Moore made a comment that we discussed them earlier. I don't think we did discuss these 2 individuals earlier. So now's the time. What we have in front of us is just basically, it looks like, an application with what they've done in the past, which they both are very, very well versed in, I think, understanding what it takes to be able to be on this committee. Having looked through this and seen that one is an assistant principal right now, which I'm sure is a very, very busy position. One is, I believe, a teacher right now, correct?
Interventionist.
Literacy coach.
Literacy coach, right, another busy position. And I've only met one of them. I haven't met the other one, but I will say that I'm pretty impressed with the Taba Patterson. I think that she's done an outstanding job at VBE and everything that she's done there. So again, I don't know Kendra Foster as well, but just looking at what is in front of me and the fact that I think everyone deserves a chance to have leadership opportunities, I think I'm kind of leaning towards Atava Patterson.
Dr. Schiff.
I have two things. I raised it this afternoon, and I won't belabor it, but I am a little concerned. I know that things went out. Ms. Green mentioned that several people reached out to her. I'm concerned about what may have been any miscommunication about how this went out. I know we had this conversation earlier. I'm not going to completely belabor it, but I want to be aware that we heard Ms. Green's comment that people have reached out who, for whatever reason, which I don't know why they didn't come through this portal, but I'm concerned about that. I don't know that we're going to be able to go back and do it. We had that conversation earlier, but I'm concerned about that. If we are not willing to go back and consider the people who seem, other people who seem to have reached out in a different form for this, then I would also go with Ms. Barenborg's suggestion of Atava Patterson, mostly because I know she's been recognized at the state level. She's been recognized for some of her activities in this district, but I think the state recognition and the access to state both information and decision and policy making in this issue is an asset both at the state level and at the district level. But I am concerned about people who have expressed interest and why that didn't get to us, and I don't understand why that happened. So.
Dr. Jones, did you want to comment?
Yes, I know we talked a long time about this in the discussion, and it was posted 11 days and went out in the collaborators, so obviously it went out to our teachers and students, I'm sorry, teachers and professionals. And the two ladies who have applied, I know Keandra a little bit more than I know Atava. They both have a good resume, and I think they both do a good job. I think that, I'm still thinking about what Ms. Green said. If there are others out there, obviously we know this is no pay, a lot of work, very, very important as far as what we will do with the board and the NAACP and our committee, and then they will select a chair, but I have a little bit of a concern about doing this right now, but I'll go with whatever the board wishes. Right now, I probably go with Atava at this point just because of policy, but I also know Keandra would do a good job.
Thank you. Mrs. Rosario?
We have dates. Dr. Moore, when is the first date in which we have scheduled for the first Equity Committee meeting? February? Is it in February?
16th, I believe.
It's the 16th.
February 16th, but that was a communication sent to the NAACP, waiting for confirmation from there. So that was the conversation we had
That's
this
the
morning.
initial plan, right?
Mhm.
February 16th? And then to get the committee members ready for February 16th, what is entailed in that? Training, the Sunshine Law?
A body of work that has taken me a full year to understand. Just being honest, it is complex. It is very, very convoluted in the terms of a African American Achievement Plan, a joint plan. I will say this, as the executive officer of the organization, we effectively communicated and put information out the only way we put out information. And there is a process, there is an expectation, and there is a procedure on how we as a system should organize and get information. And if information didn't go to myself or other individuals in the system, who I represent the school board. So when information goes out other ways, I understand. But in all sincerity, this is a heavy lift. We want someone who is organized, willing to do the work, and is proactive in seeking out the opportunity. So, you know, we've done everything on the up and up. There is no other way in which we communicate as a system. And if there were opportunities that individuals wanted to seek, you should look within that system to fill that position.
Dr. Moore, so thank you for that. So if looking at our calendar, if the position were extended, or if we were to post this even just 1 week more, the board wouldn't get together again until February 9th. At that point, we would discuss and possibly vote on a new to whomever we wanted to fulfill that position. And then it would take, based on the calendar, there would only be 1 more week before February 16th. If the February 16th, giving you only 1 week to prep an entire year's worth of work with the new board members. So therefore, that would mean that would either be impossible for you and your schedule and their schedule, or the February 16th meeting would have to be pushed back. If the February 16th meeting were to be pushed back or forward, it might be possible that the equity committee wouldn't actually get really started with the work until March. My worry there is that we would already be almost a quarter into the year, and the equity committee would not have had any opportunity to really meet and dive into the data and really get things done. I trust that, that we have, put it out there, and at this point, I'd just like for us to move forward so that we can, we can vote on the person to fulfill this one position that's available. Mr. Barefoot?
Yes.
Were you going to say something?
Oh, no, I was just going to say, in addition to what you just said, the equity committee has to elect a chair.
Yeah, that's the next point.
And the chair can't
Takes
be,
time.
you don't know who the chair is until that meeting.
Right.
And the 4 members of the committee, 2 from the district and 2 from the NAACP, they will know who the candidates are for chair, and they've got to vet, and, those people before you even get into the matter that you all are discussing, the year's worth of work and the background and the history. Although I will say that Ms. Walker, representing the district, and the incumbent from the NAACP there 2 of the 4 members will have been through this for the past year, but I think you're right. We're up against the timeline. Plus, we owe the court a response that would be submitted jointly by the district and the NAACP, which, we promised they'll get it when they get it, but the sooner the better.
I'd
Yes,
like to
ma'am.
make a motion. I'd like to make a motion that we vote on Ataba Patterson to be our equity committee member, our board-selected equity committee member.
I'll second it.
Second by Terry. Any further discussion?
I do have another comment.
One more comment?
This afternoon, we didn't have that information, Ms. Green, that 5 more people had shown interest. Instead, this afternoon, Dr. Schiff did bring up a concern that maybe it wasn't advertised enough, and we did vet that out a lot. It does concern me that we only had 2 people. However, when you're looking at this, they're both really qualified. So if they weren't qualified, I'd say, okay, let's throw it back out there. But I also think that, people need to be cognizant and aware when there's an opportunity, jump on it. And I think it's only fair to move the process along that we go ahead and vote tonight. Otherwise, I would say, yeah, let's go ahead and make sure that everybody gets the opportunity. But it was advertised 11 days, just like every other position. So I hate to keep dragging it on. And I don't think it's fair to whoever we vote on not to give them the time to be able to really go through all the documents and everything else, as you know how much paperwork there is.
Dr. Jones, you wanted to make a comment?
How long did we extend the chair? Was it a week? I can't remember right now.
We were going to repost the chair this afternoon. Dr. Moore, how long would the repost, till the end of next week or the end of this week?
Through the chair, I will continue to get feedback from No, I'm sorry, the posting of the chair, Nancy, that would be posted in the paper when?
I can get it in tomorrow's Wednesday, Thursday's paper.
So it'll be posted in Thursdays, once again, posted on our own particular website, and the information that we're lacking is the confirmation of the actual date, so the individual knows, you know, the individuals who are submitting their application understand this is the date in which they would need to be present, because as soon as you take the chair position, you then begin to facilitate the remainder of the meeting.
And what is the date on the advertisement that they need to respond by? Is there a specific, date specific?
We would do it, I think we said the meeting was the February 16th, so it would be 1 week prior to, the close would be 1 week prior to the actual meeting.
So that would be the 9th.
The 9th.
So we would know at our next meeting who the candidates are besides the ones we've already received.
Yes, sir, and we also agreed that as we receive those submissions, we would forward them both to the NAACP and the board, so we can be as proactive as possible in terms of reviewing that information. In addition to that, now that we have 4 equity members, or will have 4 equity members, as I receive that information, I'll be able to push it to them as well, so they have ample enough time to review as well.
All right. So there's a motion on the floor with a second to appoint Ms. Patterson to be the 2nd District Representative. Any further comments? If not, I'll call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. One other question for Dr. Moore. We will reach out to these individuals, presumably all the candidates, provide them with whatever information they may have, and to the extent that they would then attend the equity meeting. One of them is going to be selected, but I don't know how. Actually, either Mr. Brown or myself chair that meeting until the person is selected as the new chair, much like you chaired the meeting until one of us was selected chair. Well, those individuals, I don't know how it's worked in the past, perhaps my board colleagues, do they get an opportunity to speak to, or are they just going to fill out the form?
So just to respond to your question, I think it's my responsibility to provide information to any individual who applies, which is an overview of the roles and the responsibility. It's one thing to see the opportunity to be in service, but I just like to share the information, the number of meetings, review the joint plan. So as individuals submit those letters, I just take that upon myself to ensure those individuals fully understand the impact of the work, the importance of the work, and also the depth in which we collectively want that work to be done. So I do share with those individuals as I receive that information.
And I know this afternoon it was discussed, I think Ms. Rosario raised, maybe everybody did, but I know Ms. Rosario did, that, you know, why do they want to do this? That was, and in the cover letters that we've received outlined why the individuals who have applied thus far want to do it. So that's becomes obviously a key piece of information for the Equity Committee to choose their next chair. All right. The next item, this relates to adoption of a school board policy. This item deals with adoption of a revised district school board policy. Dr. Moore, have you documented that this public hearing was properly advertised in accordance with state statutes?
Yes, sir, I have.
I'm going to call a recess meeting to conduct the public hearing as advertised. The public hearing is now in session. Dr. Moore, are there any written responses to the advertised public hearing to be read at this time?
No, there are not.
The public is invited to address this issue at this time. Is there an individual representing an organization or his or her own personal or public interest who wishes to speak? The chair concludes that the announced public hearing on the adoption of the revised district school board policy has been conducted pursuant to notice and that ample opportunity to address this issue has been provided to all. The board meeting is convened at this time. May I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Mrs. Berenborg
I'll second.
and Dr. Schiff,
No, Mrs. Rosario.
Mrs. Rosario.
I guess we sound alike.
All in favor?
Oh,
Aye.
Aye.
oh, I thought you could speak to your motion first.
Okay, you want to speak?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. We did have a lengthy discussion about this and about policy, and I appreciate the attorneys getting involved in helping us make sure that we follow the best practice for policies and not get in the weeds and do too many details. I think as it's written right now, I'm fine and comfortable with it because I think that's a good starting point of what we need to do to create a foundation. Let the foundation give us an opportunity to see what names they want to come up with and their vision and their mission. So thank you.
Anybody else care to speak? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Next agenda item is a report from the superintendent. Dr. Moore?
Thank you, sir. I did not envy the chore that the board members had. Don't envy a lot of the chores that board members have. In selecting whether it be Ms. Foster or Ms. Patterson. And Ms. Patterson is here this evening. Ms. Foster had a previous arrangement, so she could not be here. So I just wanted to acknowledge Ataba Patterson. If you just come to I don't want to put you on the spot, but thank you for your willingness to serve in this role, and on behalf of the board. And if they want to say something, I'm sure they will. We're all engaged. We all take this work as a priority, and more than anything, as you engage in this responsibility, advocate in the best interest of children in order to ensure as a community we're growing our equity agenda. So thank you for your opportunity and willingness to serve on this committee.
Thank you. I was almost out of here, and I was caught at the door. I'm just very grateful for the opportunity, very excited about the work. We've made some gains, but there's still much work to do. I'm excited to be a part of it. I'm ready to make and build trusting relationships throughout the community. So thank you again for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
Can I?
Dr. Schiff?
Sure, thank you. Before you go,
Yes.
Since we have you here for the moment, can you give, with the chair's indulgence, just a sentence or two? Can you give us a brief hit on what your work at the state level has been through that committee that you were appointed to?
Sure. Last February, I was awarded the Excellence in Education Award by the governor. Very mind-blowing experience, and because of that award, I was contacted by the Department of Education to help the task force in brainstorming ways to implement and embed African American and cultural studies into a curriculum. So just drawing up a lesson plan, a unit plan, and seeing how that would work, what that would look like. We know that's also very important work for us as African Americans to see ourselves, but for the community to see each other. We're really trying to bridge gaps, bring about unity, all through knowledge and understanding. If you don't know better, you don't do better. So it's a part of that work. So very excited to be a part of that as well.
Can I follow up for a sec?
Yes.
Quick. Also, just because we have you here, and as your work moves forward on the Equity Committee, I also invite in that work to look through and be aware that we have a racial equity policy, a board policy, that involves us looking through an equity lens at everything that we do. And I want to invite and engage the Equity Committee to be consistently aware of that policy and to support us as a board in making sure that that policy is followed.
Absolutely.
And so much of that policy is about how we implement this work, but also to make sure that we don't violate any of our commitments and that we do what we do consistent with how do we implement African American history and awareness throughout our curriculum. That work of looking through that lens also is consistent with our board policy, and I want to make sure that that is always foremost and present. So I thank you for what I know will be your support of that.
Absolutely, 100%.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you again.
Thank you, Ms. Patterson. Very brief presentation, and I just wanted to highlight the opportunity we had yesterday evening at our Stars of the Year Gala. It was an event when it concluded last year I was very much looking forward to this year. And then COVID hit, and we didn't think we were going to be able to do it. But under the leadership of Ms. Maddox, we figured out a way to have that celebration and that recognition. And as a result, we were able to honor 21 Teachers of the Year from each of our schools, as well as 24 Employee of the Years from their departments and schools. We also recognized our extremely energetic and effective Principal of the Year, Ms. Kim Garcia, and she had the opportunity to speak. And Ms. Hepburn, Felicia Hepburn from Treasure Coast Elementary, our Assistant Principal of the Year, also gave remarks and was absolutely outstanding and powerful in her words that she spoke as well. I want to thank Mid-Florida Credit Union for stepping up in a really, really big way. $5,000 donation to our Teacher of the Year and $2,500 donation to our Employee of the Year, and that is always going to be helpful. Dyer Auto Group provided 5 very, very shiny brand new trucks to drive in our teachers and support staff of the year. And at the conclusion of the evening, we were able to name Ms. Caitlin Harris from Storm Grove Middle School as our Teacher of the Year, and Rebecca O'Donnell from Vero Beach Senior High School as our Employee of the Year. So just an absolutely outstanding night of celebration when a time when we all as a community and ultimately as a nation continue to celebrate and honor the work that's being done. So that is our presentation for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Board member matters. Would you like to start, Mrs. Rosario?
I would love to. Thank you so much. One of the items that we had on our agenda tonight, which is now officially a policy, was, let me pull it up here, Interscholastic Athletics Policy 2431. One of the items on the second page, B, all secondary schools shall offer 2 opportunities each year for student athletes to obtain their required athletic physicals at their school. Such athletic physicals offered at the school will include an optional ECG, electrocardiogram screening. This is important because Mr. Barefoot and Dr. Jones, you were not on the board when this came before the board members, the previous board, to approve it. I just wanted to give and I know that they are watching, Kurt Easton and Sean Sema of Who We Play For, a big shout out for helping us draft and support and move forward with changing our policy to allow ECGs at our schools for our athletics from middle school through high school. At this point, Dr. Moore, Dr. Moore, what happens from this point to ensure that this rollout occurs seamlessly?
Thank you, and it's a great question, and it's worth highlighting. Now that it has become policy, we will begin the planning, which we quite honestly already have begun. As it states, it is physicals for this year at the school sites have been concluded, both the first and the second one. So we have plenty of additional time to plan to ensure that we're rolling this out at the school sites, and the policy is being 100% implemented as you just read. So looking forward to having that out. We'll do some branding around it when we have that first opportunity so everyone understands the proactive steps that this board has taken.
Thank you. I'm very, very happy about that. We often have our children have physicals for sports events, but we neglect the heart. And now we have an opportunity to encourage families to get a heart screening. It is something that when my son is there, I'm actually going to seek it out myself for him to have that heart screening at the appropriate time. So I'm very, very happy about that. Board members who supported this, thank you very much. Dr. Moore and your team, thank you very much, Mr. Bass, for working with who we play for and anybody else who needed to be a part of ensuring that this would be policy. On my agenda, last Tuesday, I went to Pelican Island, and there was a wonderful opportunity to support their school in receiving a grant. Let me see if I can pull it up here. I have so many notes. Coastal Connections was the partner in which Pelican Island, Pelican Island partnered with Coastal Connections, which has a mission to protect coastal habitats. And what they were trying to ensure was that Pelican Island would receive a grant to install new water fountains with sensor-activated automatic filling machines for water bottles. And there is an actual counter on there so that every amount of water that filled up to the amount of a water bottle would be calculated, and ultimately saving our lakes and our waters, saving the plastic water bottles from entering into our environment. So it's a very, very nice opportunity to support them on that. The County Board of Commissioners, I listened to their meeting last week, and I know Dr. Schiff, you had talked about getting together a committee together so that we can have more input as to what what other governmental agencies are doing locally. This is something that it's really not anything to really brag about, except that they extended their mask mandate through their mask ordinance. It's just a mask for me till July, which I think is a little too extreme, but I just thought I'd mention that in case anybody has not heard about that. The Learning Alliance webinar was on Thursday. That was really wonderful. The initiative of the reading Moonshot Moment is still a goal for the Learning Alliance to help our children reach 90% reading proficiency by 3rd grade. So I just wanted to say thank you to Barbara Hammond and Ray Oglethorpe and everyone who is a part of the Learning Alliance for partnering with us continually. I know Dr. Moore spoke at that webinar, Zoom meeting, and it was really a wonderful opportunity to see all of the faces at one time. You don't always see all of the faces, but when you see the view, of all the participants, it's pretty interesting. And today, which is one of my favorite activities of the year, I participated in volunteering to read to 3rd graders at Dodgertown Elementary, which was wonderful. And like always, I take my favorite book, which is the book with no pictures by B.J. Novak. And it was just so much fun, so much fun. So I wanted to thank Dodgertown, Mrs. D. Benedette and Mrs. Reed for allowing me to come into your classroom and read to your sweet children.
Thank you. Next. Dr. Schiff.
I don't have a lot. Once again, congratulations to all of our Teachers of the Year, our Employees of the Year, our finalists, and our winners for their extraordinary work this year. And I want to acknowledge their work, but I think I can speak for them and others in the district in saying it's not just their work that we celebrate, it is the work of every teacher and employee in this district that makes this district run. So while the people who were celebrated last night are a subset of that, they don't get to do their work without also the support of everybody else who encourages and works with them. So it's a nice opportunity to celebrate that. I want to share my deepest condolences for Ms. McGarry and her family, the family of Ms. McGarry. We knew when COVID started that at some point we would have to face this day, that it was inevitable. And I think we've all been holding our breaths, waiting for this moment. And so that tragedy has struck. And I am heartbroken and devastated. I did not know Mrs. McGarry. Apparently, I missed a real honor and a treat that I didn't know her. And my heart breaks for her family, her biological family, her family of choice, and her Oslo family, and her school district family. So I'm sorry, I want to just say and acknowledge that publicly. Lastly, we did something strange, a little strange, I think it was last business meeting where we acknowledged the school board. And as embarrassing as that is, I want to just thank a number of schools and kids sent us gifts that we found when we came into the office today that were just beautiful and heartwarming and humbling. And I want to thank everybody who participated in that. Some of them were just warmed my heart. So to everybody who contributed to that, thank you so very, very much. It was an honor and a pleasure, and I'm humbled by it. So thank you for that. I also did the moonshot moment. I won't, where Dr. Moore spoke. The other thing that happened on that day was the Indian River County delegation, the legislative delegation that was led by our legislative members, and I attended that online and heard not only the legislative requests of the school district, but of every governmental agency in this county. And so that went on for a few hours. That was also last Thursday. I believe many of us were also on that call. And I think that's it. There are a few things coming up, but we'll talk about those next meeting. I think that's all I've got. So thank you all.
Mrs. Berenborg.
Okay. I also attended the Pelican Island and Coastal Connections grant meeting. And I did stay to the end to really listen to the question and answer part from the committee. And basically, it's an Impact 100 grant, and very competitive, local money. We're very appreciative of people donating money. But what is so exciting about it wasn't just for Pelican Island. They actually said, let's do it for all the elementary schools. So looking at putting in those really cool water stations at each elementary school, and every fourth grader getting a special bottle to be able to refill it. So that was awesome. Hard work by people trying to put that grant forward. So they should find out very soon if they're going to be one of the finalists. And then from there, or semifinalists, and then from there they choose their finalists. I also went back to my home school, Dodgertown, today, and read to first graders. I got to read to 3 different classrooms, and I appreciate that very much. They were very entertaining, as always, and we love Llama Llama. And that's one of my favorite books to read, all the Llama Llama books, so we had a great time with that. Last night's gala was awesome. I'm glad I dressed up. When can you wear loudmouth Mardi Gras shorts? More than once. Then, last week's Stars Dinner was awesome too, and I thank you very much for the sponsorship for that. They continue to help us, that law firm. And notes from students. Well, we did get some entertaining things, and I did grab 3 of them just to read because they're so precious. One says, thank you for supporting our school. Students and teachers appreciate all you do in our school district. We wish you a relaxed pay and continue with what you are doing, school board members. The next one, dear school board, thank you for everything you do, especially for lunch. I appreciate that you teach my little sister, and I love the choices that you make. I thought that was cute, but here's one of my favorite ones. And this one, the girl playground pointed to it, school bus pointed to it, very obvious because she's a good artist. But then she writes, Thank you for making our school better. Shouldn't we get a new playground? So I like the fact that she's advocating for a school while thanking us, so I appreciate that. That was really sweet. Thank you for those notes, and those little things mean a lot, I think. Because not that we need things, but it is a tough job. Those of you that are always yelling at us and angry with us, you know, we are people. And we take this job very seriously, and it was hard to run for office. If you've never done it, go for it. It's very entertaining, and it's tough to do, but I take it very seriously, and it's not easy making decisions that we make. The delegation meeting was very interesting and very long, and I know there's a lot on their plates. They are back up in Tallahassee, and Tallahassee is moving and grooving today. Also, condolences to the McGarry family and to Oslo. I have met Sherry a few times. Always pleasant, always excited to see anybody come in and welcome you into the media center there. So that was a great loss for our school community. So I just wanted to acknowledge that as well. Thank you. That's all.
Dr. Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Barefoot. Thank you to Kristen and her team for the fun we had last night, and also at American Icon. It was really, really a lot of fun both nights, and I think we need some fun these days. I've been visiting all the schools in the district. Thursday, I will have visited all of them, and I can tell you, I make the appointment with the principal, so he or she knows I'm coming, and get into probably 5 or 7 classrooms. The students are on task. There's engagement, and the instructional delivery is there. They are working so, so very hard. And I just want to say to everyone out there, our teachers, our support staff, our administrators, everyone in the district office, thank you for what you're doing in this very, very challenging year. I read to 4th graders at Dodgertown today. The book was Fireflies, and I had a blast. I know we've talked about this, and we'll continue to move forward, but we now have our representative for our part of the Equity Committee. I want to move forward, get going with that. I know we're all anxious to do that because we are here for all students, and we want everyone to succeed. I was part of the Learning Alliance Zoom meeting and also the Bold Idea 4 meeting, and that's working with our after-school programs and what they can help us do in the district. It was very, very informative. Viral soccer game, and of course the delegation meeting with Senator Mayfield and Representative Grawl. Again, a lot of good things going on. Thank you to Kristen and Dr. Moore for the COVID update, so we know what's going on in our community and in our school district. And I've talked to Eddie Robinson at Oslo Middle. Again, our condolences to the McGarry family, to Oslo Middle. This is a tough, tough thing to deal with, and we are here for you if you need us. Thank you very much.
All right, well, I never knew there were so many opportunities to participate via Zoom in all these meetings. But it is interesting. I've been involved with the Learning Alliance for a long time, so I'm very familiar with all the things they do, but I found the delegation meeting interesting. Obviously, the STARS dinner and gala was great. A couple of highlights that are memorable. One, Dr. Moore's jacket. Other, the dancing abilities of my colleagues here on the board with Dr. Moore out front. You must have been a cheerleader way back when. You had a lot of those. You had a lot of those moves. And it's nice to have some fun because, as Mrs. Berenborg said, sometimes you wonder whether it's worth it, but when you can get out in front of all the teachers and interact with the kids. I had a brief chat with one of the Vero Beach High School cheerleaders, and I forgot how young these young ladies are. I've got a couple of granddaughters about the same age, but I have them in a different, you just view your own children or grandchildren a little differently, and then you see somebody else and you realize, wow, you know, either that or I'm getting older. At any rate, and the McGarry family, obviously, from all we heard, actually, it's I don't know how many people, and of course I don't know anybody compared to most of you all, but the comments that are made just sort of out of the blue, people that interact with her, how impactful she was in that Gifford Middle School community. It's always a sad, right, always a sad occasion when you lose people that are viewed as leaders and are impactful, and hopefully her legacy will live on. And that's really all I have for tonight. And unless someone else has a last-minute thought, Mrs. Rosario.
I had a thought. You know, this year has been so challenging for us on so many different levels, but we often get these really sad emails of bereavement of people who have passed away. And, you know, I wonder, does the district have in any way a sunshine committee or bereavement committee or a fund that is put together? You know, I remember years back there when it was called Sunshine Committee, but, you know, monies were collected from all of the members, and then whenever something sad or very celebratory happened, monies were taken from this little bucket and flowers were sent, or a card, or, you know, something of good gesture to the family members of the person who have passed away or those who are celebrating. Do we have anything like that?
School probably has something that functions extremely similar, and keeping it close to those specific schools, communities, and families is the appropriate way to go. I can tell you, coming into this new community, the response and understanding that our system provides is something that I've never seen. Absolutely, everybody knows everybody, and when we face a tragedy that we're in the midst of, it impacts individuals at the district in a very deep and profound way. So those systems of support are there. And of course, as something like that happens, we have a crisis team that is immediately there. We were at the school Friday. We were at the school Monday. I was there Monday morning as well. So it's responding in both areas, the immediate need in terms of mental health professionals there to help guide, and then, you know, working through. So you have the initial impact. So we circle back 3 and 4 weeks, you know, after time, because that's when it really hits. So we're very, very sensitive and proactive in providing that systems of support.
But we don't have anything that, you know, we can pull from to buy flowers for a funeral, or, you know, send flowers home to a family.
We don't have that.
We don't.
In terms of, we are publicly funded, so that's one of the things that we don't have. But that could be something the foundation designates a small percent to be in response.
Okay. Mr. Bear, I think that would be a great idea.
I did email Mr. Robinson, and he said he would get back with me about, you know, what the family would need. He was just trying to figure that out, so I'm sure if he sends that to me, I can send it to the board.
I think that is, there's probably a number of things, if we think about that the foundation could provide the district and its employees under all sorts of circumstance, from, you know, funding advanced degrees to bereavement, and on and on and on. And, you know, before we close, I would like to thank once again the Graves family. I mean, I think 5 years ago when they lost Jimmy, and the journey that they've had, and as you know, they've adopted at least 2, maybe 3 children. I mean, it's wonderful what they've done, and they've now done something that kids in perpetuity in the county will have the opportunity, as well as families, to enjoy the fields, and it'll be incumbent upon all of us to come up with a design and then go out and raise the money privately to really ensure Jimmy Graves' legacy. So I'd like to again thank Joe and his family. And at this point in time, at 8:19, meeting's adjourned.
Hang on.